and awesome, and it keeps getting bigger. At Z's, the first year, we took over like 2 or 3 tables. Now we take over one entire side of the darn place. Secondly, the guys in orange, give them a hug, give them alcohol as well, please. They're awesome guys. They volunteered their time, so be nice for them. As Chris said, thank the sponsors. It's the reason we have alcohol. The rest of it we can deal with. The hack for kids thing. Go warp young minds. It's so much fun to do. It's so much. Drink, be merry. Oh yeah, that wall in the foyer, have any of you taken a look at that wall? You can actually go from the ground level up to that mezzanine level. Have fun doing that. Much fun to be had. All right, so the talk. Told you I wasn't going to put it up online. So we're going to have some fun with this. But for those that are in the audience that might have some kind of law enforcement, this is for you. Now, as nice as I can put it, fuck off out because we're going to have some fun. So, the civilized abstract about what we're going to talk about today. You guys can read it as well as I can. The beauty of humans, for all that we are, we also have the capability to evolve. Unfortunately, that also comes with the downside, that we really are the weakest link out there. We are both we have the ability to provide the solution. We're also, unfortunately, in the way of putting those solutions in place. So we're going to go through the whats, the whys, the hows, and all the other stuff. But we'll take a blunt abstract for a second as well. Now, this is less aimed at you guys directly, unless you are in the position of management, therefore probably in the way of security. But it is something for us all to take back to the organizations that we work for. And it really is a case of many of us, many of the guys in here that will be standing up on stage, we've been doing this for many years. We go, hi, there's a problem. Look, here it is. And we've been doing this for what, 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Yet the problem still keeps getting worse. Not only does the problem getting worse, we're finding new and innovative ways to actually spread our data everywhere, of which there will be many talks today. So the challenge and the question is, for all of us, is when are we actually going to wake up? And when we talk to those who have the authority and who have the ability to actually enact change, is what is that trigger point that is actually going to make them wake up? For some, it might be the intellectual property. For some, it's financial. For some, and we've done it before, we've sat there in front of the CEO and gone, hi, I know where your kids go to school. I know what their names are. I know their birthdays. I know the bus. I know the car. I know the vehicle. Now, get your shit off the internet. But for each one of these people and organizations, it's a different trigger point. The challenge is how do we get to those people? How do we actually get them to think? Had to throw this one in here. This was an Eddie Mize one. Did it straight after our little challenge. Now, for those in the audience, unfortunately, that are hoping, this is not going to be full today's topic, because I will get yelled at and I will get arrested probably again. However, we're going to talk a little bit about this stuff. This one's the fun one for me. For those of you who don't know what this is a T-14 Armata tank. It's that new Russian thing that's out there. The Russians aren't much different than us. They build a tank, they give all the pieces to everybody else, including the source code. We have the source code for most of the T-14 Armata tank now. And it's run by GPS because it's a semi-autonomous thing, so it's awesome. A couple of us have now mapped out exactly how to do a line dance down Red Square next year. If we can get it back on the tank, Red Square Parade's going to be really interesting. So what else are we messing with? And how are we going to get into this? Ironically, the scary thing about this is all the plane stuff. I mean, how many of you have been here? How many were like year 1, year 2, year 3? Yeah. We stood up here talking about planes, missiles, all sorts of other weird shit, and they still didn't listen. That's the biggest challenge for us at the moment. Is like, okay, how do we get people to listen? The new big thing everybody's talking about is obviously the Internet of Things, or the Internet of Everything. Presented over at the RSA bunch. Went from somebody's decor oven and ended up at a power dam. all through the wonders of the Internet of Things. Again, we keep adding these things into our lives, into our systems. How do we start controlling them? How do we work with the people that are controlling them? So, a bit of the focus for today. Obviously, address the elephant in the room, dealing with the alphabet soup. Cooperation is going to be a fun one. When do we talk? When do we shut the up? Legal, here. And then we're going to have a little bit of an evolve or die discussion. So, the only thing I'm probably kind of allowed-ish to say, sideways aeroplanes. Well, physics says no. As much as the press and the media want to say yes, physics kind of says no. For the stuff that we did and the research that was done on those things, unfortunately, the affidavit that was leaked by the DOJ took 5 years worth of information, compressed it into 2 rather sensationalist paragraphs, which is what they used to get the search warrant for all the equipment. The challenge in all that is, unfortunately, it wasn't really accurately represented. Is that a problem here? Possibly. Is that a problem with how things were scribed or discussed? Possibly as well. But the one thing I definitely will say is on the 2015 flights, nothing was done. It's part of the reason I'm still standing here. I'm not in a bright orange jumpsuit. And as it says, next time, probably not going to mess around on Twitter too much. Although, it was myself, Justin, and Chester were sitting on the plane yesterday. We took a screenshot of ourselves and sent it to TSA and the FBI. So we keep poking the bear just for shits and giggles. And the fun thing about it is I was sitting on the plane messing with these slides yesterday and the other week when I was flying over to Amsterdam and stuff. I'm like, you know, I probably shouldn't be editing these slides while sitting on a ready airplane. So, let's talk about when and how and what we do when we engage with our little friends. This one I love. You think with the fact that the NSA actually watches everything, they would have figured out the frickin' spam problem by now. However, these are the kind of guys, the individuals, the teams, and the parties that we get to deal with on a regular basis. And we still deal with on a regular basis. I think the challenge here is there is a diversity of systems and people. And the biggest issue on this one that we still see today is that we'll deal with one set of teams from a particular agency. Pick on the feds for a second. We'll deal with one team at a local level. We'll deal with a different team at the HQ level. Then we'll deal with a different team somewhere else. And unfortunately, their ability or lack thereof to communicate in between each teams is what sometimes screws us up. But the argument is also the fact that we need to cooperate with these guys. And we actually do need to work with them. As much as we want to wind them up and have fun with them, they're not going to win the battle that we're facing on their own. At all. No chance. So there has to be a level of cooperation. But the challenge is how do we balance that cooperation? How do we retain what we like doing, which is breaking shit? Not necessarily staying completely within the rules all the time, but still being able to work with them. Still being able to hand them actionable intelligence. Help them understand what is going on. Some of the stuff we'll talk about. I'm glad Betsy's up here, by the way. How many of you guys saw Betsy on? Was it NBC, CNBC? Who the hell was it? CNN. Poor Betsy got profiled. So let's talk a little bit about cooperation. I love Grandma. She's freaking awesome. I think the challenge is a lot of us who've been in the industry for a lot. I'm going to stand in this and screw it up completely, aren't I? I'm kind of like about here. I want to go play over there, but I can't. A lot of us like pushing the envelope. A lot of us mess around. A lot of us get to a stage where we kind of want to cooperate and we want to work with them. But what is the cost of doing that? And so you take a look at it when you have to cooperate. How do you do it? How do you talk? How do you discuss? And unfortunately, these buggers tend to get involved as well. So for any of you that have seen some of the press, it is rather interesting because it's all over the place. Apparently, according to one report, I'm currently still locked up somewhere in prison, but last I checked, I'm still floating around. I actually managed to still get my TSA pre, and I can still go in and out of the country. Apparently, they still let me in. But if you have to deal with the press, and you are dealing with them, choose wisely. Learn from some of my mistakes, and others and peers around us on this one as well. Start taking a look at who's asking the right questions. As you are dealing with the people of the press, understand their job, unfortunately for the most part, is to get the best, most sensationalist news out there. Your job is to protect your ass as best as possible. When you have a little situation, you probably want to get these guys involved fairly quickly. EFF has been freaking awesome at dealing with a lot of this stuff. When your organization you work for says that they will work with you or they will look after you, as nice as you can put it, gracefully decline as best as options. Their responsibility is to the corporation and the organization itself. It is not to you. EFF and a third-party lawyer will look after you, not them. So what do we do about it? We can play. So for those of you in law enforcement that have actually taken that screenshot, please feel free to put it in your bloody report today. So, short one on this one. United's got annoyed, although Lufthansa just joined in the chart. I was sitting in Germany. What day are we on today? Thursday. Thursday. Sitting in Germany 2 days ago, and apparently Lufthansa got a phone call from United. Bless them. So this is what we're looking at, and I think there's going to be a couple of talks in the next couple of days about this. The Internet of Things. This is really the new and fun playground. 4 billion people, 25 million apps, of which 24,995,000 probably won't be coded properly. So what do we do about it? Talk a little bit about the manifesto for a second. I keep bringing minions to this conference because I keep liking them, I keep having fun with them. But for me, they represent us, for want of a better way of putting it. The biggest, or one of the biggest challenges we're facing as we go into organizations these days is like, oh, we're fine, we're covered, we have a cyber liability insurance policy. Perfectly acceptable, wonders, marvelous thing. They ask us 3 questions. Do you have security? Yes. Do you have a firewall? Probably. Is it out of the shrink wrap? Is not the next question they typically ask. And then they cover you. At which point your leadership goes, oh, we're perfectly fine, we're covered, we don't have to worry about this security thing anymore. Not a problem at all. It's bullshit. Is that me or is that somebody else crashing stuff? And it comes down to us, the humans ourselves. Many of us, especially the ones also stood up on stage, are quite honestly getting fed up with mainstream humans. We're getting fed up with organizations, with entities that just want to carry on going on the same way they've been doing. We're resentful of the executives who sit there and think security is a burden, or it'll happen to somebody else, or there are issues, somebody else's problem. We're fine. The media's overblowing it. Or the humans. Again, it comes down to us, the people. And the challenge is dealing with the companies now. And the challenge is also looking at the individuals that take an interest in security and working with the companies that try to take an interest in security. Rare is the personal company that keeps this effort up for an extended period of time. How many of us have walked into organizations or are working in organizations where literally you walk in and they go, we have a problem. And you deal with it for the first 3 months. Then the new shiny problem goes away and they don't care about it anymore. Or proactive security is actually monitoring the firewall Or maybe it's buying the new blinky blue light firewall as opposed to the red blinky light firewall they bought last year. We're getting proactive. Got a new colored blinky light this year. I'd argue the technology itself is there to secure the problem. But unfortunately, the human keeps getting in the way of the equation. We're our own worst enemy. You could lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think. I love horses. Can't ride the stupid things, they got no freaking brakes. But I can feed it carrots, and it seems happy. So what do we do about it? I put this to you. I had some fun. We had a couple of talks about this last night. But imagine the situation. The hacker breaks into the company. Woohoo, great, got in. Yay, fun. That wasn't too hard to do, was it, for most of us? You break into the system. You look around. You patch it. You put antivirus on it. You encrypt the frickin' hard drive because they can't be asked to do it. You secure the damn data they have, and then you get the hell out of there. Potentially leaving the keys under the front doorstep with a little note saying, "Loves, hugs, and kisses, the hacker." Imagine standing in court. He broke in. Oh, bad person. And he fixed everything. What the fuck? Did he do any damage? No, but he encrypted my hard drives. Oh, bad person, but he gave me the key. No cyber stuff. He protected my data. Bad man. Imagine having that legal discussion. You're standing up there, and you broke in. You got the thrill of breaking in, which is always the fun part about it. The thrill and the fun part is just getting into the damn system. Once you're in, it's like, fuck it, plant a flag, get the hell out of there, it was fun. Take some screenshots, get the PCAP file, otherwise it doesn't count. By the way, for anybody wondering, we do have PCAP files of airplanes. Imagine the same thing with SCADA. We all know how many fun challenges there are with SCADA. But you break into the power station, kind of like we did at the Michigan Cyber Range. What was that, a couple of years ago? That was fun. Took out the pipeline. There's apparently a really cool pipeline that goes all the way across this state. I've got the user IDs and passwords if anybody wants them. I don't think they've changed them in like 2 or 3 years. But you break into the damn place, you take it off a plain text protocol that any bloody man, woman, child, kid, or whatever can frickin' sniff. You put protections in place, you disconnect it from some of the stupid shit they've got in the corporate world, and you protect it. Imagine how much fun that would be, having that legal discussion. Now, I don't necessarily want to be the test case for that, to be perfectly honest, given my recent indiscretions. But it raises the question, should it be done? I'd argue yes. Logic simply states, we keep losing data because we're not fixing the basics. I still shouldn't be finding 2008 vulnerabilities or 2003. Freaking Windows NT server the other day, for God's sakes. I even had to look up how to break the bloody thing. Like, shit. I'm like, does this still, it works. And they had the installation disks, for God's sakes. We shouldn't be finding this, and if we do find it, it should be hidden somewhere. But logic says that data encrypted at rest and in motion is harder to steal. Not saying impossible, but it's a hell of a lot harder to steal. Logic also says if less people lost their freaking credentials, the waterfall effect throughout the rest of the industry is rather positive. To us, here, it's a fairly logical argument. Unfortunately, we're not dealing with logic. We're dealing with executives. Oh, no, can't repair that, that's a problem. We're dealing with healthcare systems. Oh, you can't scan that bit of the network because all the important shit's on it, and if you scan it, it'll break. What the? Are you serious? I'm sorry, that scanner over there is running Windows XP because the manufacturer says that it only should run Windows XP. Shoot the fucking manufacturer. Take them outside, tar and feather their sorry ass as an example to every other silly son of a bitch who tells you that old shit should still be okay. Seriously. Logic says that we should be able to do that. So here's the challenge for all of us. Next time you research something, next time you decide to have some fun with a device or an entity or a system or a computer, don't just stand up here and go, ha-ha, you're broken. Make a fix for it. Put something in place. Next time you break a company or an organization, or government agency, because they're fun to play with, sit down and figure out how you would fix it. Work out what you could do to make it better. Standing up here and expounding the problem, not good. Standing up here and saying, you have an issue and I've got 3 solutions for you. Pick one. Otherwise, I'm going to tar and feather you. The question is, and the challenge is, do you call the agencies or the intelligence community and say, hey, there's a problem? 2 issues here. It's my issue with the whole zero-day world. If you have a zero-day exploit that could affect, what have we got in this country, 300 million-ish people, of which most of them use Windows? You have a Windows zero-day exploit. You got a couple of options. You can give it to the government and it'll use it against 100, 200, 300 people, or you can put it out there, put a fucking fix out there, and solve 300 million people's worth of computer problems. Ethical choice. To me, at this point, I think the next time something gets researched, it should be, this is what broken, this is how we broke it, and here is a fully automated script to fix it. And then I argue we should just basically deploy it and be done with it. Fixes the problem, removes the human. Couldn't help it, had to put this one in. Can you guys read that at the back? Yes, so much fun. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about taking a leaf out of us, the humans. The vaccination process that we have as humans. Whether you believe in vaccinations or don't believe in vaccinations, it's an interesting little process out there. Take the best part of a virus. Pick on Zeus, pick on a couple of others. Take the transport methodology from Zeus, take the attack methodology from Zeus, take your own 0 days. Turn the logic flow from attack to defense. Turn around and say, hey, rather than going out there and looking for credit cards to basically haul them off and sell them, get out there, look for credit cards to encrypt the bloody things. Go look for people's taxes and encrypt the darn things. Leave them the keys, because that's more fun. But the argument is basically take a look at the obfuscation and fragmentation techniques that are out there. There's some really nice stuff that's being used by viruses. Put a resilient update architecture in place, not one that can be easily discovered. Going out on the same port at the same time every day does not count. And then I say deploy it. Now, in doing so, I would recommend putting a kill switch in, because we didn't do that the first time. And it went a little wild. Well, in fact, it went very wild. But we've got something running out there. It's been running over in the African continent for a little while. It's actually protecting quite a lot of computers, hundreds of thousands. And it's working as a vaccine. No humans involved. Nobody that I have to spend 6 months arguing with or discussing why they should or shouldn't have something running, or why they should or shouldn't deploy antivirus, or why they shouldn't do updates. We and our grandmothers and our parents should not have to be the people that keep our computers running. We shouldn't have to be the frickin' experts. It should just work. obviously working out some of the kinks. One of them was putting a kill switch into it. Because we deployed it and it went woohoo and infected everything it could get its little sticky mitts on, at which point we're like, oh, stop! Shit, we can't make it stop. It's interesting when you're several thousand miles away from your intended target that it goes, hi, I'm going to make friends with the rest of the entire continent. You're like, oh shit, Skynet's got nothing on this. Now, this was done in an altruistic manner. This is where the interesting part comes in. No money changed hands, no contracts were agreed to, no discussions had to happen. Shit just got fixed. Some of you are probably thinking this. Probably the ones in the audience with the federal badges. So I say this. There's no back doors in the code. This is not a master plan to take over the world. One computer, one fridge, one laptop, one toaster at a time. It'd be fun to do that. It really can't be asked. It probably shouldn't. I shouldn't probably be in charge of anything, let's be honest. Exactly. To me, and I would argue to a lot of us, there's simply a desire to see progress, to see things fixed, and to see stuff put right. Most of us, I would argue, are fed up to the back teeth of watching all of our freaking data be bought, sold, traded, lost, or whatever the hell it is. Some of us, inside the fucking OPM breach, are a little frustrated. Because not only did our data go, but our families, our friends, our kids, our colleagues, and all the other shit. Why? Because the dickheads couldn't look after the frickin' data. And that's just one of how many breaches this year? Simple. I would take a different view of it. We can call it altruistic hacking if we want to at this point in time. Personally, I don't really see a problem with it, within certain caveats. How many of you wander around Best Buy? Do you have Fry's up here? Because we don't have in Colorado. What have you got? Best Buy? Micro Center? You got Micro Center up here? God, that's like crack, isn't it, that place? It's like, woohoo, playtime! Bye-bye paycheck. Actually, I don't get a paycheck anymore now that Al and I have parted company. I am paycheckless. It's quite fun to still wander around Micro Center and go, I want, I should have, but I'm not going to buy. I don't see a problem with it. Go to Best Buy, go to Micro Center, pick up a Wemo, pick up a Nest, pick up an Internet of Things device or 2 or 3 or 4. Go pick up a router, switch. What I've been talking to Mike Kemp too long. Bloody routers. Routers. Seriously, guys, why did you mess with the language properly? But go get something. I don't care if you mess with cars again. That was so much fun. You'll get yelled at, but go get something that you can break. Take it to pieces physically. Take it to pieces electronically. Reverse engineer the damn thing. Take a screwdriver to it. Because the simple fact is we keep accepting more and more and more of this tech into our lives, and we don't mess with it as much. Or if we do, we're going to the manufacturers going, hi, there's a problem. They're like, oh yes, join the queue. There's a whole bunch of you that have problems. And you get ignored. I'm now wearing one of the Apple Watchy things because I bricked my 5th Fitbit, I think it was. I got to a stage. How many of you guys have got Fitbits? They're great. If I still had my Fitbit on, whoever's got the most steps, it would take the steps from you. It's much easier than me doing the bloody steps. But Fitbit has an open authorization architecture for certain bits of your information. Not for everything, but there's half a dozen elements of your information, including step count and a bunch of other stuff. So you can turn your passive Fitbit into an active Fitbit, make friends with everybody else's frickin' Fitbit, and just take their damn data. Now, I had to brick a few Fitbits to figure this shit out, but it was fun, and it meant I didn't have to walk as much. But take that mentality and apply it. I don't care if you, the new bloody, what was it I saw the other day? It was an Android-enabled washer and dryer. Absolutely hilarious. If you get onto Best Buy's wireless network when you're in the store, you can actually do some testing in there. It's quite fun to do. Not that I'm advocating that, because that's not nice. But have fun with it. And it's also running an old version of Android, and there's about a list about that long of exploits you can do to get into it. Once you've got into it, you can drop Thing onto it. And then you can have fun with their home network as well. But it's stuff like this that we need to be doing, because more and more of the tech is coming into our homes and our lives and our systems, and we're not touching it. Or if we are, the manufacturers are ignoring it. Point in case. You guys are well aware, we're here for 5 years. I think year 1 is the first time I said, hi, guess what we can do to a 747? It took the feds 4.5 years to wake up and go, hey, probably want to pay attention to this guy. Let's lift him off an airplane. Admittedly, I might have provoked the situation. But seriously, get out there and break it. And then when you've broken it, figure out how to fix it. And then arguably, there is an argument to say, just deploy the damn fix. Geek thoughts. So, the next time you are in your target of choice, you're knee-deep, ankle-deep, elbow-deep in code and reverse engineering, and you've gotten the PCAP file, and you've taken the damn screenshots for the organization, the company, the record, or whatever else, I'd argue you fixed their code. You patched their system. Maybe you make them aware, maybe you don't. If you do, you have to deal with humans. If you don't, things magically get fixed. Encrypt it, sort it, leave the keys behind, and then get the hell out of there. Because, to use a well-loved phrase of Evolve or Die from Packet Storm from how many years ago? 10, 15? Long time? We have to get better. We've got to take the flaws out of this thing, and we have to do a better job of protecting the systems. The problem is, the technology is there to protect everything. 2 years ago, when you bought the blinky firewall, frickin' green blinky light firewall, it was perfectly adequate to fix everything. The fact that you maybe don't have the resources to look after the logs, watch the logs, monitor the damn things, unfortunately for most of us, isn't your fault. The humans getting in the way to say, oh no, you can't have more people to look after logs. You've got a new blinky firewall. Just be happy with the blinky firewall. Don't worry about logs. We don't need to worry about those things. It's arguable that the security that we put into organizations should be more commoditized. For a lot of organizations that you probably work for, or for a lot of companies that we break into on a regular basis, security is not their key focus. They make widgets. They shouldn't have to worry about patching every 5 freaking minutes. They shouldn't have to worry about what release firewall. The damn stuff should, unfortunately, for the most part, work. But we haven't designed it that way. We haven't put it in that way. We're still fixing our own systems, and we're having to deal with the humans to be able to put the patches out to be able to do it. Again, I'd argue, we just get out there and we fix it our damn selves. For those of you that are presenting for the next couple of days here and at other locations, do not just say what's broken. I challenge you to stand up here and provide people with the ability to fix the problem. I also hate the idea. Thank you. For those of you that are using this stage as a freaking infomercial for your company and the propaganda, quit that shit. The people that are here that are going to stand in front of you want to hear stuff. They do not want to hear what your freaking company can do to fix shit. They want to hear what they can do to fix stuff. And the latest firewall with the blue blinky light is not going to fix everything for you. The hardware that your CXO wants to buy probably isn't going to fix it either. You probably have most of the solutions already in-house. You just have to have the resources to fix it, and unfortunately, the leadership needs to get the hell out of the way. I keep having to put these little things in there because you know damn well that somebody's like, oh shit, he's got another airplane slide in there. Give me a whole presentation full of airplane slides. So for me, I keep joking about messing around with the lights on the eastern seaboard. We're actually messing with the lights on the western seaboard. One of the western United States cities has taken all of its lights and all of its city lights and they've made them wireless. I want to send rude messages to the ISS station. I've got half the code built, and it's simply going to say, fixed by 127.001. And no bugger's going to be able to change it. This is something we also forget. And this is something we put in there as well. I think we're getting better at it these days, and I think the message that we convey to organizations and to corporations is getting better. When we first came on the scene, we're like, aha, put a firewall in place, it'll fix everything. And then the bad guys went around the firewall, and we were like, bastards. We'll put IDS IPS in place. And they went, whoo! And they went through the IDS IPS. And the IDS went, I think it went that way. And the firewall went, fuck if I know, I thought it went that way. And the logs lasted for 24 hours, and it was 6 months before we realized that shit went. This is a game of chess that we are playing. We're not doing a good job of it either. So what do? The questions to take back to the organizations we work for. Do they really understand the problem? Do they actually know the risks the organization faces? It's a simple question, but it's a lot harder to answer. Because unfortunately, sometimes some of the people you ask that question to are going to have to look in the mirror. And you're going to have to help them do that. Because sometimes the biggest risk is the guy in the biggest frickin' chair getting the biggest paycheck. And it's your job to help them understand that. And that's not an easy message. The nightly reality TV shows. I shouldn't say too much because I had A&E stuff a camera in my nose a few weeks ago. Apparently I know stuff about the darknet. So A&E is thinking about doing a whole series on the darknet. They want this ugly mug to actually talk to them about it. So if I'm on TV soon with an English civilized sensible accent, don't be surprised. But these questions you take back to the organization. Who is advising them? Who are they listening to? Is it the guy with the plane ticket and the consulting license? Or is it you guys? And if it's not you guys, how do you convince them otherwise? What do you have to do to help them communicate or help effectively communicate with them? Internally, the procedures. What are they doing? So many organizations we walk into, haha, I've got a firewall. It's got the latest blue blinky light. Great, what do you do with it? Well, we look at it, it's cute. When the blue blinky light blinks faster, we know we have problems. Great, is that procedure written down? No, we have a guy standing there. He looks at it all day. Yeah, that's you. Change that. Put controls in place. Help the organization. Most of them like their paperwork. Most of us hate paperwork with a passion. Best part of a pen test. Woohoo, we broke in. Oh shit, now I've got to write a report about it. Fuck, can we just take a picture of the flag? No, that isn't going to work. Why? Simple stuff. But help an organization understand the controls And for crying out loud, will you please do the best you can to try to stop them thinking that a fricking audit is a pen test? Locking the auditor in a room and feeding them stuff underneath the door doesn't count. I don't care if you put it in that exact language. I don't care if you take a screenshot of this presentation and send it to those buggers. Stick it on their forehead or do something. Help them understand that. Again, humans, we are getting in the way of ourselves. Which goes to the culture. We are the squishy ones. We are the easiest ones to social engineer. We're the easiest ones to bypass. We are the ones that typically fail first. Yet we are still the guardians. We are still normally not allowed to be abused, which is not fun at all. And yet also we're the ones that we tend to spend less money on to educate. That equation doesn't work. It's got to change as well. Help your organizations understand that. This one's the tough one. This goes back to our little minions. When the organization stands up and goes, woohoo, we only lost 100, or we only lost 1,000 identities. Our database has 1 million people, but we only lost 1,000. Woohoo, we're great. It only took us 6 months to figure that shit out, but we did it. You know what? Congratulations. You screwed 1,000 people out of their lives. That is the retort you have to give back to that organization. When it's a risk analysis that it will cost them 3 million to protect the system, but the worst fine that they will get is 2 million, that is not an equation that is acceptable. Help them realize that. Last I checked, we're still relatively human. Arguably, if the mentality stays as it is, we are not going to win. So, what do we do? Stop talking about how we can't do things. Well, I think we've beaten that one in over the last 40 minutes. Talk about how we do solve the issues. Hopefully I've given you guys some thoughts, some ideas. To the presenters, hopefully I've now provoked you into going, oh shit, I need to add another slide in. But we have to change the approach that we have. The electronic profile, the people outside, even the people inside the organization. And it all comes down to data. It's quite simple. Where is your data? When we took out the airplanes and we had fun with them, we didn't go mess with airplanes directly, well, not to begin with. We went to the third-party companies that made the planes. We went to the manufacturers that made the components of the planes. We went to all the various different organizations that discusses planes. And we did all the OSINT intelligence gathering that we possibly could, which is exactly what the attackers do. As you talk to your organizations about security, it isn't just about them or about you. It's about all the various places that that data resides, with the employees, with the vendors, with the suppliers, with the VARs, with every bugger that has its fingers into your data. When the vendor out there sells you a new piece of equipment, when they turn around and post something like, hey, I just sold them a whole bunch of new toys, taser their sorry asses. Because I go, oh shit, they've got this firewall. Well, fuck it, if I go this way, I can go around the damn thing. Stop them from giving your stuff away. And then we focus on the people. Potentially, I'd argue, how to get around the people. So, I will say it again. I've said it earlier, I'll say it again. We have one hell of a community. To all of you here, to all of you that have been here through the years, I thank you. You are a kick-ass community. To Chris and Jamie, and to GrrCON, where the hell's Chris? Did he escape going, oh shit, he's on stage. Thank you guys. EFF, continuing to put up with me, not the first time they've had to deal with me, probably won't be the last, let's be perfectly honest. I have to put this one up here because, well, it's fun. How many of you guys have got the idea that McAfee's actually going for president? How many of you want him as president? Fucking hilarious. Let's see, McAfee or Trump? Seriously. I want it to be hilarious. So, to everybody, thank you very, very, very much. Appreciate it. Thank you again for the beer. All right, now get the hell out of here and go have some fun.
Who run